From Tradition to Transformation, Navigating Change Without Losing Your Legacy by René Sonneveld. In times of turbulence, holding on to yesterday's logic can feel safe, but it often leads to stagnation. For one family-owned business, this truth came into sharp focus as they faced a rapidly changing market demanding sustainability and innovation. Their journey from resistance to leadership offers valuable lessons for anyone navigating change. Marshall Goldsmith recently shared a quote on LinkedIn that has stayed with me. "The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence. It is to act with yesterday's logic." Peter Drucker. It reminded me of a family I once coached, a family whose story captures this truth perfectly. Their journey wasn't just about business. It was about identity, fear, and the courage to embrace change. A family at a crossroads. When I first met the family behind a small but successful food packaging company, they radiated pride. Their reputation was impeccable, built on decades of reliability and deep relationships with local food producers. Success for them had been steady and predictable, a badge of honor earned through hard work and consistency. But as we talked, it became clear that their certainty masked growing unease. The market was shifting. Sustainability and customization had become the new benchmarks, with both consumers and regulations demanding eco-friendly solutions. Competitors were pivoting quickly, adapting to these changes, and while the family wanted to believe their loyal customers would stick with them, the reality was different. Their steady success was no longer guaranteed. Their story is not unique. Across industries, businesses rooted in tradition often face a similar dilemma: how to adapt to a rapidly changing market without losing the essence of what made them successful. "Our customers trust us," said the eldest sibling, who had steered the business for over 30 years. "They value consistency. We don't need to change just because everyone else is." As he spoke, I could feel the tension in the room. Change wasn't just a strategic question for this family. It was deeply personal. Their way of doing business was intertwined with their identity. To change felt like betraying the past, and to them, the past wasn't just history, it was their parents' legacy, the logic of yesterday. Over the next few sessions, we worked to uncover the real source of their resistance. It wasn't just fear of market shifts or uncertainty about new investments. At its core, their reluctance was emotional. The family business felt like an old ship, sturdy and dependable, but now navigating stormy seas. Every meeting seemed to bring another wave of tension, whether it was fear of losing their legacy or frustration at the lack of direction. Staying on course felt safe, but deep down, they knew that path risked sinking. To survive, they had to trust the winds of change and adjust their sails. This realization didn't come easily. Their way of doing business was deeply intertwined with their identity. Every decision, every process, and every success was tied to stories of the past, of late nights in the factory, of their parents shaking hands with their first big customer, of moments that had defined not just the business, but their family. Shifting their approach felt like erasing those memories. The weight of the past loomed over every discussion, making it hard to imagine a future that didn't look exactly like the past. But as the tension in the room grew, it was the youngest family member, a niece who had recently joined the business, who broke the silence. "Maybe it's time we think differently," she said quietly, her voice steady but full of conviction. "What if we could lead, not just follow?" Her words hung in the air, a spark in the midst of the storm. Slowly, the family began to see that their hesitation was costing them more than it was protecting them. Competitors were innovating while they stood still. It became clear they had a choice to make: adapt or risk being left behind. The family began to realize that their fear of change wasn't protecting their legacy, it was holding them back. To move forward, they needed to reframe how they saw their history, not as an anchor, but as a foundation for innovation, honoring the past, embracing the future. But that spark ignited a shift in their perspective. Instead of seeing change as a threat to their legacy, they started to see it as a way to honor it. We reflected on the values that had made them successful, reliability, quality, trust, and explored how those values could guide their next steps. Change doesn't have to erase the past, I reminded them during one session. It can build on it. Like a ship adjusting its sails to the changing winds, the family realized they needed to chart a new course, not by discarding their history, but by using it to steer toward a more sustainable future. This realization is one that resonates far beyond this family. Many businesses, particularly those with deep traditions, face a similar crossroads. The pressure to adapt can feel like a betrayal of what worked before, but clinging too tightly to past successes can prevent growth. Whether it's adopting new technologies, pivoting to meet shifting consumer demands, or embracing more sustainable practices, the challenge is universal. How do you move forward without losing sight of your roots? Inspired by this idea, the family decided to launch a new eco-friendly packaging line named after the founders. It was more than just a product. It was a way to blend innovation with tradition, to show their customers that their values remained the same even as their offerings evolved. Starting small. Change can feel overwhelming, especially when it challenges the foundation of what a family has built over decades. For this family, the idea of completely overhauling their business felt paralyzing. The risk seemed too great, the uncertainty too daunting. So they didn't leap into sustainability all at once. That would have felt too risky. Instead, they began with a pilot project, offering eco-friendly options to a select few customers. The results came quickly. When the feedback came back overwhelmingly positive, even the eldest sibling, who had been the most resistant to change, admitted quietly, maybe there's something here. These small steps turned skepticism into momentum. They allowed the family to experiment without fear of losing everything and gave them the courage to expand. With each small success, the path forward became clearer. As they saw the positive response from customers, the fear of change began to fade, replaced by excitement. Inviting fresh perspectives. To fuel their transformation, I encourage them to bring in outside voices, experts in sustainable packaging and market trends. At first, they were hesitant, wary of outsiders who might not get their business. But those fresh perspectives became crucial. One expert shared examples of companies that had successfully pivoted, sparking ideas the family hadn't considered. Hearing these stories shifted their mindset. The future wasn't something to fear, it was something they could embrace, staying united through tension. Change isn't easy, especially in a family business where emotions run high. As the family debated their next steps, tensions flared. At one point, the eldest sibling threatened to walk away, convinced that the new direction was dismantling everything they had built. We worked through those conflicts by focusing on their shared goals. Emotional resilience became a cornerstone of their journey, learning to navigate disagreements without losing sight of what mattered most: the family and the business, from resistance to leadership. Slowly but surely, the family transformed. What began as resistance became a shared mission. They didn't just adapt to the market. They became leaders in sustainable packaging in their region. Their journey wasn't just about business. It was about finding the courage to let go of what no longer served them, about trusting their ability to evolve, and about proving that honoring the past doesn't mean clinging to it. Your turn. What about you? Whether you're a part of a family business or navigating change in your own life, the lesson is the same. Turbulence isn't the danger, it's the opportunity. So here's my challenge to you. What's one belief, one routine, or one story you're holding on to that might be holding you back? What could happen if you let it go? Breakthrough thinking starts with one question and the courage to answer it. Thanks for listening. Please visit www.renesonneveld.com for more information or to contact René. See you next time.